respect that you didn't do anything to move forward that connection, but the fact that you even got any of those types of feelings for a 16-year-old makes me nervous. Hey guys, it's Sierra. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be part 2 of the Book of Boyfriends. So I did not add in the books that I've read this year, so this video is going to be all the book boyfriends from 2025. So bear with me. The books I have are mostly romance with one fantasy book, but let's go ahead and jump on into the categories. So first off, I have, so the first category is my man, my man, my man. I switched these up because I was like, the first ones, I'm like, they were average, but I want to do something better. The next one is We Got History. Number 3 is You Cute, I guess. And then last one is Nah, You Can Have Him, Sis.
I won't lie. I'm just looking for something.
So those are the categories. So starting off with the first book, which is Revive Me by J.L. Seegers. Revive Me is technically a trilogy, so I'm just covering the trilogy in general. And the character is Chris. Okay, so Chris is a very interesting character. Chris has navigated a lot within this trilogy, from his the pressure from his family, the pressure from his dad mainly, to live a specific life and be with a specific person, which completely altered his relationship with Mal and just completely deteriorated her trust for him. But they've always had the love for each other. That's why they have a whole freaking trilogy, because there's a lot that they've been through, especially on Chris's side, with dealing with his dad, his family, his ex-wife. I know you're like, oh, he got married. Yeah, he got married. It's just a very, I wouldn't even say tumultuous, but it's a very nerve-wracking roller coaster ride of a relationship. So, and I love Chris. Chris has had a lot of pressure. Chris is trying to be the best person he can be, while also not trying to rock the boat too much because of the power that his dad has. His dad kind of reminds me of Charles Bass. If you watch Gossip Girl, then you know. Yeah, his dad gives me like that vibes, like very controlling, very, just, yeah. It's very unsettling how his dad is. So I would have to put him in the We Got History, because they literally do have history, but I would put him in We Got History. I can't say my man, my man, my man, because there's too much going on. I wouldn't be able to stomach all of that, because if anything, I would have had his father offed. Okay, I would have hired somebody, because his dad got on my nerves that much throughout the entire trilogy. It's that daunting, that level of control and that powerless feeling that Chris has throughout the entire trilogy up until the last book, where he actually does start to get some control back. But still, like, it takes too long for me. Me as a person, I would have either walked away or had his dad off. I'm just saying. But yeah, me and Chris wouldn't last. Next we have Ja from the book Ja by Alexandria House. And Ja's interesting. Out of all 3 of the brothers from the Them Boys series, I mean Them Boys trilogy, I think from what I remember, Ja got the most of the abuse from their father, because I think he's the middle child, but he also has some underlying levels of anger that leads him to make a decision, a specific decision. I won't say it, because you gotta read it. And I commend him for it. And I really wanted him to follow through. But, you know, life takes a turn, things change, and he doesn't make that decision. He doesn't do the thing that he wants to do, which, it frustrated me, because I still would have done it. But he really does. I mean, with him and his brothers, they come from such a traumatic past, a lot of anger, a lot of resentment, a lot of fear. That is kind of, I would say, it's just kind of off, to be quite honest, if I'm being like, yeah. Ja's been through a lot, so I would actually have to put him in the you cute I guess category, just simply because he's been through so much. I wouldn't be able to be everything that he needs. Also, he needs therapy. I don't remember if it mentions that he goes to therapy, but all three of those guys need therapy. They need a lot of help when it comes to navigating their past. But yeah, that's just my decision when it comes to Ja. But I do love Ja, but ooh Lord, yeah, you're gonna need to get some help, my brother. That's just me as a person. That's how I would categorize him. Next up is Ekon from Beast of Prey trilogy. Now Ekon is a cutie patootie, in my opinion, especially in the first book. He's a cutie patootie who struggles with his dad's loss. In the first book, I feel like it showed a really good depiction of how his mental state really portrayed his experience in the woods at the time of the story. I forgot the actual name of the woods, but it really just showcased how his mental state can alter his experience in the woods, and that he's been through a lot, because it is a fantasy book, so all these characters go through a lot. But he is very resilient, he is resourceful, and he has a huge survival instinct too as well. So I really appreciate that about Ekon. I would have to put him in the, I would have to say We Got History, because it is, you know, oh no, wait, I do see it, my bad. I put him in the You Cute I Guess category, purely because it is a fantasy novel, so it's very hectic, it's very much end of the world inducing, so there's a very high chance that, you know, we won't make it out alive anyway, so have fun while we can, I guess, but not even necessarily, I would say We Got History, because the history would imply that we have like a romantic history and like there's a lot of feelings there. It's more so of like, man, I really commend you for your hard work. You know, I really see you as a person. Godspeed type of thing. It's like trying to make sure that you don't have that emotional connection, because when everything goes to shit, everything is going to go to shit. So you're prepared for it. So it's very much like guarding your heart. So I would have to put him in that category. Next up is Sweet on the Greek by Talia Hibbert. It's also known as The Fake Boyfriend Fiasco, and the love interest is Nikolas Christou. Nikolas is something. He is our bisexual king who is, I think it was is he a football player? I think he was a football player who's got money and has slept with a lot of people in the story. It is a novella. But he seems like a decent dude, I would say. I would put him in the You Cute I Guess category, simply because it was just a weird situation. Like, I'll be a fake boyfriend. I'll be like, really? What is happening right now? Also, he's just like a hot guy who's bisexual. I've just been like, you know what? I'm not getting involved in this, because I swear you probably have slept with every single person that has walked by you. And then when our female main character goes on this trip with him and comes to find out he's even slept with some of his teammates, I'm like, see, I couldn't get involved in that, because I would just be like so mind boggled, and not even in the sense of like, how dare you sleep with everybody, because it has nothing to do with his sexuality. It would just be so uncomfortable, because everyone is around you possibly either had sex with him or did. And so they're like, oh yeah, we're just friends. It's like, but because everyone views intimate relationships differently. Some view it as like more so like it was a moment of passion, or like we're really close with each other, but I'm not in love with you. Like, it's something that I do for fun. Other people have more of a deeper emotional connection when it comes to having physical intimacy, where it's like, how can you sleep with somebody and not feel something for them, like romantically? You don't feel like any like love towards them. It's not like you don't feel that. So I feel like just that it would just be very uncomfortable for me because I would be so nervous if someone else felt more towards him that they were letting on, and then all of a sudden I'm the one who's getting stuffed in a body bag, because a lot of the times that's what happens when you go on like these type of trips, or you go with certain groups of people, and then things come about. People end up in body bags or in like the spaces where they have the ice, like that type of thing. Like there's always gonna be some jealous bitch, someone, male or female. It's gonna go sideways. Like this is fatal attraction in real life. I mean, in a book. I wouldn't want to be in this situation. So I just wouldn't even indulge Nikolas in any of this. So yeah, I would just leave him alone. Next up is you made a fool of death with your beauty. We have Alim, and he's a cool guy who's been through a lot. I would still put him in the you cute, I guess, category, because to me, as much as I liked the book and as much as I liked Alim and our female main character together, it still reminds me of trauma bonding. That's someone did bring that up when it came to reviewing the book, and trust me, I get it. It is like a trauma bonding experience, but it's also a mature perspective of the loss that brought them together, but it's still a level of trauma bonding. And as someone who is slowly being healed, I would not want to trauma bond with anybody. Like we can both talk about our past and how we felt, but then be like, this is what I'm trying to do to be better, or at least like this is what I've learned from it. But a lot of what they were talking about, it felt a lot of like trauma bonding. I'm like, oh, I know exactly what you're feeling when this kind of loss hits you, or when this situation happens with having that loss. Like it's different. It was a little bit of a trauma bonding experience, which is literally, that's just really why I had to put them in you cute, I guess, because they didn't even know each other prior to this. So it really is them bonding over the shared loss. They're both mature, but it's still slightly like, okay. And also the fact that she was there with the other character and just completely like just sidelined him, even though she said that they're not exclusive with each other or anything like that, but still there's a level of, I would say, a level of respect and communication that she should have had with the other character about the entire situation, about their, not even the situation in general between her and Alim, but her and him as the characters of being like, we're friends, right? Like really, I really would have honed in like, we're friends, right? Like we're cool. Kind of like how, I'm going back to That's So Raven. And the That's So Raven episode, what was it? My psychic eye for Sloppy Guy. That's my favorite episode, where Eddie literally tells Raven right before Tyler comes to the house that he got a crush on you, right? So nip that in the bud right now. And that's what Raven exactly does. And that's what our female main character should have done with this character. It should have nipped it in the bud. So like, we friends, right? I really appreciate you bringing me down here as a friend. And like stare extra in their face. And if they're like, oh, you just want to be friends, it's like, I really cool. It's really cool that I met you and I really appreciate you and I do care about you, but I see us as more as friends. And if he would have been like, oh, okay, cool, you still want to go? Fine, but at least that would have been covered. And I understand we wouldn't have had the part of the conflict of the story, but we could have had it in a different way. Maybe he still could have felt like a little bit uneasiness because it is his father, but we wouldn't have had the straight up of him feeling as if he was being led on type of thing. I feel like that could have just been a little bit better when it comes to the whole situation in general, because that's what makes it so messy to put Alim any higher, because of the female main character and her lack of communication with the other character about the situation going on. Next up, we have Can't Get Enough by Kenny D. Ryan, and our love interest is Maverik, Mav, and I would have to put him in my man. I absolutely love Mav. He is actually very helpful with Hendrix when it comes to what she's experiencing with her mother. I feel like hers is different from Alim and the female main character's experience, because it's not so of them trauma bonding over the loss of both parents. it's more so of him supporting her in her current time of experiencing her mom going through Alzheimer's. It's different. To me it's a little bit different because there is more of a support. They both didn't lose a parent through Alzheimer's, and he's not bombarding her too. It's not like Alim was bombarding the female main character with his loss, but it just feels, and it was written differently, at least to me. So the way that Mav was just supportive of Hendrix, because Hendrix is completely independent, and very sure of herself and what she's going, very sure of herself and how to navigate her own life. So Mav wasn't like stepping on her toes. He was just more so like, when you need me, just let me know. I'll text you and check on you type of thing. Because they're both grown adults. They have their own lives, their own experiences that they're going through. So he's very respectful in that way for Hendrix. Which is why I would put him in my man. And also when it came to dealing with his ex, I will say the one thing is I would have nipped that in the bud earlier. But then we wouldn't have the story that we have. And because it wasn't like a weird connection as like your son's girlfriend that's not even clarified that you're starting to have feelings for. It's literally, that's his ex-girlfriend. He's allowed to have feelings for somebody else. Isn't it unfortunate that it's somebody that his ex-girlfriend was working with? Yes, but he didn't have any sense of tie to Hendrix in a way that would have made it unsettling. I feel like when it comes to like, if it's a familial connection like that, it becomes very unsettling and very uncomfortable. If it's just like an ex, it's different. That's just me. Like majority of YPAD stories where it's like the main character ends up with this guy, but is into the guy's brother. That's when it makes it weird, because it's like you see them for the rest of your life. Mav doesn't have to see his ex-girlfriend ever again if he doesn't want to. And she clearly doesn't want to see him either, because she's literally going out of the country with her new boyfriend. I feel like that was just different from my perspective. Next up is Always the Baker by B-Love. And the love interest is Brax. And Brax was okay, I would say. This is a novella, so we don't see as much of Brax. But so from what I've read, he seemed like a very cool dude, but I would have to put him in UQ, I guess, because more so of he's very supportive of the female main character, helping her along the way when it comes to her journey after dealing with her ex-boyfriend, getting engaged to, I think it was like his friend or somebody, her friend or something like that, I forgot. But we don't even get as much of that in detail. I would have loved to have seen more of that to make Brax stand out more. Because if anything, it was just like, oh, this is like a plot, like a subplot with her baking the cake for her ex-boyfriend, when reality she doesn't even bake the cake for her ex-boyfriend. So then her and Brax are just building a connection and a bond throughout the story without that conflict there. And I feel like that conflict would have brought him up more, because then he would have been like, oh, so this is your ex. He would have been a little bit more protective. We could have seen more sides of Brax towards the female main character, and stuff that she's navigating, and really kind of like puffing out his chest a little bit more, of just being like, I'm gonna protect my girl, which would have made him a little bit higher. But we didn't get that. So it really is just, I put him there for the purpose of just how the story was written and when he was written into. It was just odd placement for me for a book called Always the Baker, if we don't have her actually bake the cake for her ex-boyfriend. It was just odd the way that setup was. Next up is Should Have Been by Alexandria House, and our love interest is Truth. Truth is a grown man who pretty much runs into his I think she's like his first love technically, or at least someone that he saw before, but she was 16 at the time, he was 26. He said, ooh, no, I ain't going to jail. But then years later, they still have this undenying connection, and then they actually end up getting together. And that's fine and all and dandy, but that age gap still bothers me, even with like years later. It's still weird. So it makes me kind of side-eye Truth in general, because you were 26 looking at a 16-year-old, even though you said, yeah, I know I don't want to go to jail, but you still looked at her like that. Like you still felt something, and that makes me uncomfortable as a reader. So I put them in, now you can have him, sis, because that's just made me unsettled. Like I respect that you didn't do anything to move forward that connection, but the fact that you even got any of those types of feelings for a 16-year-old makes me nervous. So yeah. Next up is Sanctuary by Alexandria House, and the love interest is Sampson, who, I'm just gonna spoil it a little bit. He has some powers, like he's like a god, essentially. I was just like, what? I mean, literally the title is Sanctuary Noir, like a noir immortal story, so someone's immortal, obviously, and it's him. And he's a god, and he gives reasons to the female main character of why he was gone for so long, and why he kind of like left her in the dust several times, which the first 2 times, like I get it, but then it was like, dude, you could at least communicate with her. So it was just very much just of like, he was kind of using it as an excuse to not talk to her because he was immortal and a god, when he could have easily just been like, I really do love you. It's just a lot of stuff going on at home. I would love to stay in contact with you. It could have just been that simple. You didn't have to go into detail and tell her like, I'm a god. Like, it felt very like, it just felt kind of out of just rude, really. Like, not really sharing the information. Like, you don't have to go around shouting, I'm a wizard. Like, just at least communicate that. So I put him in the now you can have him, sis, because whatever, that's his excuse. I'm a god and I was training. Okay, but you could at least say something, like, whatever. Moving on to Holding by Alexandria House as well, and our love interest is Ford. He is a hockey player, divorcee. Him and the female main character are divorced, and they still haven't gotten over each other, and they have a lot of things that happen between them, a lot of mental health. The story is very mental health, mental illness focused, and he seemed like a character that was very nurturing, very understanding, or at least trying to be understanding, because our female main character was going through things that he didn't fully understand, and she didn't really let him into her life to know what was going on with her in detail like that. And that's where pretty much like led up to the divorce. It was just, a lot of it was just not talked about, not even like miscommunication. There was just no communication whatsoever when it came to what was really happening with her going on in her head, and just like a lot of like disjointed, left out feelings, and just like kind of like neglected the relationship. So I really would put Ford in We Got History, because they do have history, but I wouldn't necessarily get back together with him, not because of anything that he did, because of the mental illness and the history with the female main character. I would spend a lot more time on myself, and if maybe down the road it does come back together, like, they need to come back together, that's something for them to discuss in more detail. Like, they do discuss it, but I feel like they just needed more time. But if anything, I just wouldn't go back to that, because it was such a difficult time for both of them, that it's kind of like the love is there, but it was just a lot too much for them to go through, but they could still support each other as friends. I wouldn't revisit that, purely just for the sanity of each other, to make sure he doesn't feel like, well, okay, now I understand, but it's like, okay, let's get back together. It's like, but I still don't want to rock the boat with that, because anything can happen all over again, and they will be stuck in the same place all over again. It's too unstable for that connection due to the mental illness. Not to say that the female main character's mental illness is the problem, but it's just so of just not doing the back and forth. It's like saving each other from hurt. I feel like it was just been a lot easier with not going back to each other. That's where I would put him, not necessarily because of him, but because of the situation and things that happen between them. It's just best to just keep it separate and just be supportive of each other and love each other from a distance, you know. Next up is Only for the Week, and Only for the Week by Natasha Bishop, and our love interest is Rome. Now, I put Rome in You Cute, I guess, because Rome is supportive. I would say that. Rome is supportive, and he really does help the female main character with what she's going through. But I feel like for me, when it came to the book, we didn't see as much of her in Rome. Like we do see her in Rome. We do see them together, like him getting the boat for her so she can read to get her mind off of everything, them going on like little dates and stuff like that. But I feel like when it came to the situation at hand, when it came to dealing with her sister and her mother, I would have loved to have seen Rome step more into that. And I feel like some people will probably be like, well, it was good that he was minding his own business, but that situation was just rocky, and everyone was like on the outskirts. Everyone was so freaking timid around the sister and her attitude and behaviors and everything like that. And hearing how the sister talked to the female main character, there had to be somebody to step in though. Like it felt like everybody was too hands off from me. Like I don't know if they just didn't want to rock the boat because they didn't want her to turn into like a bridezilla, but someone had to rock her world. I feel like it was just so heavy on that side of the story that someone needed to step in and maybe slap somebody. Just to be quite honest, somebody just needed to get slapped. When our female main character, I forgot her name, but when she actually ends up talking to her sister and her mother about their issue with her, it's too much talking. Someone just needed to get slapped. Like there was no reason for why her sister and her mother were acting like that. And I feel like Rome could have been the character to step in. I'm not saying he had to come in there with guns a-blazing, calling her sister and her mom out their names or anything like that. But it could have been, I just wanted more from him to step in and just be like, no, that's not right. Like I get like he was letting her handle it the way she wanted to handle it, but sometimes it gets to a point where, yes, us women, especially us black women, are very independent, but someone has to be the person to be like, nah, fuck that. I'm not gonna come in guns a blazing, but we gonna need to nip this in the bud right now because this is starting to get on my nerves. Because you disrespected somebody that I truly love and respect, and I don't like how you talking to her. Like even if it was just like that, I'm just saying, I just would have liked to see more from him, so that's why I put him in that category. If he did that, then he would definitely be my man, but he did not. Alas. Next up is Elevator Pitch by Evelyn Lee, and our love interest is Greyson. And I like Greyson. I really do like Greyson. He's a really sweet guy, which is why he is my man. He does everything he can for our female main character. I'm blanking on these women's names, and these are about the men anyway, so whatever. But he really does everything that he can for her by being there for her, being supportive, letting her adjust to opening up to him and being comfortable in his space, doing sweet things and like getting to know her in the way that makes her feel comfortable. Because female main character, she does suffer with like anxiety, so I feel like it was the perfect mix for him to like come in with a more tender approach. And especially because our love interest is an Asian man, I liked this depiction of just like a softer image of him. Not to say like Asian men are like aggressive or anything like that, but it feels like it's a little bit different than what the stereotype is, like in just the way of him being attentive. It's different than versus the stereotypical image of Asian men of just being more controlling or just like having like a very like stern hand in a household, or even just towards the dynamics with women in general. I feel like he was just a lot softer in his approach with the female main character, and I think his dad was like that too, just a lot softer, and I really appreciated that they were just, he was just like a sweet guy that was just trying to meet her where she was at. And when he did feel like he wanted to move it along a little bit, he didn't like yell at her or anything like that. But he did communicate like, I really am here for you. Like, girl, let's move on. Let's move on with it, type of thing. Like really just trying to remind her that he was serious about her. So I really liked that about Greyson. And last one is This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan, and our love interest is Judah. I love me some Judah. Judah is definitely in my man, because first of all, the fact that this man came onto this job and his job was to save this company money, and as soon as he clocked some weird stuff going on, he spoke up. He's a man that is not afraid to speak up. He don't care whoever is working there. Something's afoot, something's a mess. And if that means that your husband is going to jail, oh well, he shouldn't have done it. Like, and the thing is though, he does support Soledad the best he can without being overbearing because of the situation. I'm almost doing my video.
You can attend your video. You still doing your video?
Yes, I'm almost done talking. Bye-bye.
I'm waiting.
Boy, go upstairs. You're making me lose my train of thought. Once I'm done with this, I'll come up and we'll do your work, okay?
Me?
Give me like 10 minutes. Yes, give me 10 minutes.
Did I can film my video?
You just filmed your video.
One more
Boy,
video.
go.
One more video.
Go, Mr. Longlegs. Thank you for putting on pants. I appreciate it.
One more video.
Boy, go.
Okay, one more video.
Oh my God. Drive me nuts. So yeah, he's very supportive in that way of helping her out without being overbearing, because he did send her husband to jail. Essentially. I mean, like, he didn't arrest him, but he did, put the pieces together, and her husband got arrested, which is her husband's fault. But he wasn't like being like, well, he's like, it's like, well, that's what happens when you marry a man like that. Like, he wasn't doing anything like that to target her for marrying Edward or getting it, like, or assuming that she was involved in the situation or anything like that. So I think he really did he did very well when it came to handling the situation. And then when she was needing help to get groceries, he just got them sent to her house. He didn't be like, oh my God, did you see the groceries I bought you? Aren't you great? Like, oh my goodness, I did such a nice thing. He wasn't condescending like that. He just bought them for her, and he was just like, okay, I'm gonna keep it moving with my life. And also, I think from his own journey too, with both of his boys being on the spectrum, with him having a very close connection and relationship with his ex-wife, that they're still very supportive of each other. He is very supportive of her in her new marriage. I love that about Judah. He's just an amazing, mature man, which is why he's my man. Like, I love Judah, and the fact that he stepped into Soledad's life and in her children's lives, but not doing it like, I'm gonna be the superhero and save this family. He treaded very lightly, especially when it came to, I think it was the youngest daughter or the middle daughter, when it came to their connection with their still very, very close connection to their dad. He still treaded very lightly. He didn't come up in there being like, I'm gonna sleep over or anything like that. He was very respectful of their house and their dynamic and their changes going on in their life. But that's all that I have for this video. If you like this video, be sure to like it, comment below which one you would think it would be actually your book boyfriend. Like any of the other, for the men that weren't in my man, are they your man? Like, literally, like, who would you redeem? Who would you pick as like your ultimate book boyfriend? Or at least like give some type of leeway for them. Yeah. If any, all right, wow. All right, so I'll see you guys next time. So stay nice.